Yo, welcome back to another episode of the girls who talk about everything but mostly hip hop. I am NAJJDAMUs.
And I am N Mills, aka Illmatic Goddess. Gang. I got my Tupac on, so I might be feeling a little feisty today. We'll see.
Tupac, Gemini energy on your shirt, Gemini energy on your chest. It's Virgo season. You better get out of here with that.
Ah,
I'm
so
Gemini
almost
moon.
speaking of Virgo season, word on the street, was your birthday. You was up in New York living it up. Tell us
Yes,
about it.
yes. It was a real ninja birthday over the actually it was Monday. It was Monday, September 2nd. So you welcome. Everybody had Monday off because of my birthday. So you guys are welcome. I called everybody boss. I got y'all the day off. Okay. They had something called Labor Day as well. I don't know. That's what they told me. But yes, my birthday was Monday. And I'm rocking the New York hat because I spent my birthday in New York. We flew out to New York for the weekend. Yes. And I thought about you a lot because the purpose of our trip outside of my birthday, we went to the US Open. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's in Queens. So I was in your man home borough. So which I'm actually learning that Queens is actually supposed to be the bougie borough, which I find that very, very interesting. I never knew that. But yeah, so I hung out at the US Open. We hung out in Times Square. We did New York like a tourist. You know, Ty being from there, I'm usually staying in the Bronx when we visit, but we stayed in Manhattan. We stayed right in the middle of Times Square. So it was dope. 28th
That
floor.
is so dope. I when I go to New York, what's funny is it's just like you said, if you have people that are from that particular area you're visiting, you can never be a tourist. You always just go to their house. And it's like you live there. So
Right.
just taking those moments to breathe in the city with like
Yeah.
a new set of eyes and feel the energy and the excitement of New York, that had to be incredible. And that's a good way to bring in your birthday.
It was really dope. It was real dope. It struck midnight while I was at the US Open. So I was still like it was like not 2 in the morning, but it was 12 midnight. I was still sitting at a tennis game. But definitely was a great way to bring in my birthday. We just spent my birthday roaming around Times Square. I did a few things. We did this thing called Rise New York, where you go to the History Museum and you learn about the history of New York, starting with radio, then television, then fashion, and just going through all the things that New York are known for. And at the end, there's like this 4D ride that takes you on a journey through New York. It was amazing. It was so good, and I had great Indian food for dinner, which I've never done that before. I wanted something different for my birthday, something I would never do, and we went to an Indian restaurant. It was like upscale Indian too, like really
Ooh.
conservative waitresses, very nice. It was kind of like upscale Indian. So it was amazing. It was really good. Great
And
birthday.
we have a couple of fans from India that actually watch our
Oh wow.
podcast on YouTube. So I got to shout out Indy. I got to shout out Andy. So you see, my co-host was out here repping for your peoples.
I
I
support
told
you.
her all the time, I'm chicken. I can't take all the spice that
Oh,
Indian food has. Like
so
my
hot.
palate is like a palate of a. I'll say I stop at an 8-year-old.
Oh wow.
Palate of an 8-year-old.
Yeah,
So
I've definitely expanded my palate living here in Austin because there's so much good food. But my daughter had the butter chicken. There's a lot of most of it is chicken, right? They don't
okay.
eat beef. Most of it is
Mhm.
chicken, lamb or goat. I don't eat chicken, and I don't really eat goat, but I've had lamb before, so I had the lamb. That was my protein of choice. So it was really good. It was great, actually. It was amazing. Very
Ooh.
spicy. Yeah. So I had a good time. I like New York. New York is New York. Like it definitely hit different in your 20s than it does when you get a little older. Definitely is my tolerance is not as strong as it used to be. I can say that. It's so many people. Um but I still had a great time. I love New York.
I'll say this, and as y'all know from the podcast, I lived a lot of places. New Orleans is my favorite place, city
Oh,
to visit, hands down. But New York is my second favorite. People
okay.
like to put this thing on it, like it's mean or whatever. Every time I've been, I've always had nothing but an incredible time. And just like you said, the
Yeah.
energy of New York, whether I stayed with my friends and we thought we were so cool because we took the subway on Fulton Street, or if we did touristy things, like I
Yeah,
took my mom to a Broadway play. It's nothing but a good time. So I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. You know that this episode is mostly about you. Are you excited?
yay! Yes, yes, yes. So if you are tuning in, prepare to hear a little bit about me, only because it's my birthday. So Il God decided to dedicate the first, we'll say 20, 25 minutes to a lot of my favorite things, you know. So I'm just going to talk about my top five. I'm going to talk about my top 10 favorite albums of all time. And then just a little bit about like my history of why I love hip hop. So I won't, I promise not to bore you. We're going to keep it light and we got other things we got to get to.
It's not going to be boring because you're about to put me on. So, what I know from hanging out with you, and I know obviously we have a couple of artists in common, but one thing that I've noticed is your love for Bone, maybe greater than or equal to my love for Nas. So, tell
Yeah.
me, like, how did this start?
Bone, yeah. So Bone is like seriously a part of my life and like synonymous with me. Like anybody who knows me associates me with Bone. People from high school, my family, everybody. You know, my nickname in high school was Nodja Bone. Like that. Like I never was able to shake it. You know what I'm saying? There are some artists that I kind of grew out of from the '90s, but I could not ever shake Bone. It was love at first sight, like literally love at first sight. I remember being on the phone with a guy like the summer of '94, and we were talking, and then he started ignoring me, and I was like, what are you doing? He was like, hold on, wait till this video go off. And I was like, what video? He was like, turn it on channel 41. And I turned it on the box, and it was Bone Thugs. It was Thuggish Ruggish Bone. And I was like, who is it? Like love at first sight. Like I will never forget the moment. And from that point on, like from that summer of 1994, I have been in love with Bone Thugs and Harmony ever since. Even in my 40s, I still get that same feeling when I listen to their music. When I go to their concert, I still get the same feeling. So that's when it started. I was
I
14.
love that for you. And that's crazy because they're also having their third. It sounds because you said 94. Can you
Yeah.
believe, like, does it feel like 30 years? Does it
Um,
feel like it's been
it,
30 years?
it feels like an amazing 30 years. Yeah, they're celebrating on a come up album. And then next year they're going to celebrate my favorite album, East 1999. So yeah, and then probably in 2027 they'll be celebrating the Art of War. So yeah, this is the 30th year anniversary of Cupid on a Come Up, which is every time I hear that album I get chills. So yeah, I've had the pleasure of seeing them in concert several times.
Mhm.
You know, the last time they came to Austin was 2018, and that's when I was able to see all of them because they don't perform together anymore. Busy Bone does his own thing, but I was able to see all of them in 2008, which is a huge deal, and it was an amazing show. And woo, I just get chills talking about. But yeah, I love Bone, and what I love about Bone, and I've
Mhm.
always been like this with any artist. I always loved different. I always loved a new sound, and when Bone came out, it was a nobody was doing what Bone does. Nobody. And people always want to say, well, Twister was already rapping fast. Twister was rapping fast. Shout out to Twister. But Twister was not rapping like Bone. Bone was rapping fast with harmony, right?
Mhm.
Thug stuff. You know, Bone was doing it differently. Bone and Twister don't sound nothing alike. You know what I'm saying? You could say that Mary J. Blige thing, and then you could say, oh, Janet Jackson was doing it first. Like, it's stupid. It's two different sounds, right? So it's like when people try to say that, oh, Bone, they got their style from Twisted. No, Bone was doing something totally different with the harmonies and the braids and the thugs to look. Like looking at these thugs sing, I was just, I was obsessed. And then they were so mysterious as well because people didn't know, are they in a gang? Do they worship the devil? Why are they playing with the Ouija board? Like all that, I was obsessed with that. Like I love that mysterious part. Did he die? Like flesh and bone. Why is he on the back of the cover? Like it was just, man, I was obsessed. I was hooked. I was hooked. I could not get enough of them. And that's just it. They were so different. That flow was so smooth.
I love that. Their flow was different. And I was thinking of like how you said thuggish, ruggish bone. And just like I always think about, I guess, the evolution, because we always talk about how people progress.
Yes.
When they did their song with Bone and Biggie, that's when like people like me started to catch on, like they're really saying stuff. I'm not even gonna
Yeah,
lie. I was like, oh,
yeah.
they're really saying lyrics and they're singing. Like I was a late comer, but then they
I'm
also
glad I
have
was later.
Thug Love with Tupac. And then
Yeah.
of course, I'm always mentioning MC the GOAT. I don't know why how she always gets in both but mostly hip hop, but she's on a breakdown as well because
Always.
because of the fact that like you said, no one could they could try to duplicate, but they can't stay because it's not true to who they are and what
Yeah.
Bone. If they ever wanted to, they could sing. Really, like
Yes.
I feel like the Gangsterling people were the precursor to
Yeah.
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Oh yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. And Bone, their whole rap style and the rapping fast and the thug singing, which was, an obsession of mine. I feel like after that, so many more people started to do it because Ludacris started rapping fast. Eminem was rapping fast. We know 3 6 Mafia, who had beef with Bone, they had a really similar style. Like everybody started doing it after Bone. And to this day, a lot of people, believe it or not, to me, still sound like Bone, but it's not critical towards Bone because we're so far removed from Bone's, prime. But I feel like a lot of artists actually sound like Bone because of the way that they're rapping and it's like a singing. And I don't mean it's like the Migos kind of had like
Okay.
Bone energy with them. Um, Hard to explain. That's a whole nother show. But yeah, so, yeah, a lot of people sing now and rap, and Bone was the first to do it. You know what I'm saying? And Bone was just more gangster and it was more harmonizing, but a lot of people are doing it now. So I just feel like Bone doesn't get the credit that they deserve. I think that Bone should have had their own spot on the 50th.
Mm.
They definitely should have had their own segment, spot, show, whatever, because they changed the way that rap. People rap fast after Bone, and nobody was doing it before that. And now everybody's doing it after.
Absolutely. And they, to me, and of course, in the comments, you guys, or if you, as you guys like to do, slide in my DMs or my LinkedIn or my emails. I feel like they're one of the first to put Cleveland, Ohio on the map as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. See, I love that you said that because when you think of Cleveland, you think of Bone, right? And
Mhm.
so to this day, they put Cleveland on the map so hard. There was not anybody really coming out of the Midwest, and so that was Bone. Like that was like 3 or 4 hours for me. I was obsessed with going to Cleveland. I eventually got to go, but I was obsessed with Cleveland. So yeah, man, Bone, them is my boys. Those have always been my boys and will always be. And I had a chance. Do you know I've never. I met them, but not all together. I met Lazy Bone by itself. I met Busy Bone by itself, but I've never met them as a whole. And I met them during the time where we really didn't have cameras on our phone, so I don't have no pictures. I have, there
Well,
was
see,
little
that's why our
pictures.
podcast is the best because that's our generation, though.
That's our
I
generation.
don't feel like Gen Z. We like. Sometimes I don't care. I'm not gonna lie. For the show I went to, my sister had to do the vlog. I forget.
Yeah,
I get caught up in the moment, so I could kind of see that, and it's just like to me, it's better to tell the cool story of how you met Lazy than like, oh, I have this picture and your picture is just so perfect and your angle is right and he's looking, a certain way
yeah.
versus you could tell the story how you got to meet individual members among thugs.
I
Now,
met, yeah, really, really
oh,
quickly, the way that I met him, this was back in the day when people actually came to record stores and did autograph signings. And he had a solo album, El Burner, and he came to an autograph. I was at work and my friend called me like, Lazy Bone is blah, blah, blah. And I left work. And I did get a chance to meet him. And my friends were like, rap for him. So he was trying to get me to rap for him. I was too shy. I couldn't rap in front of my favorite rapper. I just froze up. And he was like, see, you don't even know. I could have gave you a deal. I could have gave you a deal. He was being nice and funny. And then we took a picture with a camera phone, never got it developed. So even the person who took
the
the picture,
disposable, the
disposable,
disposable
what did I
phone.
say?
Yeah.
Camera, what did I say? We took a picture with a disposable $5 camera and we never got it developed. I don't know why. And so there's no proof that I met him. Oh no, it is proof. I do have a signature. He signed my CD. So
Oh, I love that for you.
yeah.
So now, see, you're telling me more about Bone than I ever knew. So they have solo projects. Do you have a favorite solo artist from Bone?
So my favorite solo artist, Yes, I do have a favorite. He's in my top five. So I'll get into my top five in a bit. Or as a matter of fact, that's a great segue. Let's go
Mhm.
ahead and get into my top five rappers of all time. And I'll just give a really short reason why these guys are my top five favorite rappers. All right, so my top five favorite rappers of all time. Now, you guys know I already did my Mount Rushmore, so I feel like you guys already know my four, five, six. So I mean my four, I don't know, my four, three, two. Okay, so my top five. Number five is Crazy Bone from Both Thugs and Harmony. So
Okay.
Crazy Bone is my favorite member of Bone. It fluctuated over the years. It started off as Busy, then it was Lazy for a while. But over time, after listening to all their music, it's definitely Crazy. And he has been inducted into my top five Hall of Fame.
I
Crazy
love
Bone,
that.
yeah, he's crazy. Like I hate to say crazy on the mic because that just sounds so weird and Gen X, but he's
Yeah.
so dope and he's actually very lyrical and he raps the fastest. He has crazy ad libs. Like he is the best. Like he's like when they were rapping for Easy E, they passed him the phone because they all couldn't rap, so they gave Crazy Bone the phone and he rapped for Easy E, and Easy was like, "All right, I'll sign y'all." So like that's how special Crazy Bone is. Like I love him, and I cannot believe I've never met him. A little bit of back and forth on the internet, you know what I'm saying? Besides that, I've never got a chance to meet him in person. So yeah, Crazy Bone is my favorite member. Amazing solo album. Um, Number four, again, this was part of my Mount Rushmore, but number four in my top five is Andre 3000. Yes, I absolutely obsessed with Outkast as well. And Andre 3000, I love wordplay and I love delivery. And I think that his wordplay and delivery is so crazy. And I'm always interested in what he's going to say next. And
Mhm.
that's important to me as a rapper. What is he going to say next? How I like wittiness, I like little wit and like little jokes and like little slick things that you say. And Andre 3000 definitely does that. So he is definitely number four on my top five. Number three, speaking of witty, it goes back and forth between these two, but for the most part, it's Kanye. Um, it's sometimes it's hard to say that out loud because of his shenanigans and his antics, but his first like four or five albums are just so amazing to me. Um, Again, I'm always interested in what Kanye is going to say, especially classic Kanye. I'm always interested in his point of view, the way he see things. I think that he was a little different too, as far as what he was rapping about, dropping out of college and kind of joking about college and college life a little bit. Like I found that witty, I found that very interesting. And I just always found him very creative.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I love Kanye. I've always found him super creative. Like the whole genius thing. I'm okay with him calling himself a genius. You got to speak that stuff into your life. So I can't
Right.
be mad at him for labeling himself a genius. That's three. Number two is the guy who I share a zodiac sign with, also a first initial, Nasty Nas, which
Nasty Nas in your area causing mass hysteria. Okay, I'm done.
Nasty Naja. You have no idea how much I get called Nasty Naj, Nasty Naja.
I
Um,
love that.
Notch and O goes to DJA. Nah, she is not your dumbest. Yeah. So, um, Nas, I feel like I don't have to really give a reason why why Nas is number two. Like you heard his lyrics, you listen to him, amazing storyteller. You know what I'm saying? I like that he can rap over any kind of beat. I like that his pocket is those fast beats. You know what I'm saying? Like he loves to get in that pocket. Um, I love how my I want to talk about this song, but then this is the song that I want to turn into a movie. So I don't want to talk about this song because I don't want to turn it into a movie. But my favorite song of his, which is not even on, I don't think any of his albums, is why he's in my top five. That and the album Stillmatic is why he's in my top five. And I know Stillmatic, people prefer Illmatic. I prefer Stillmatic. I made a video about that on TikTok. Um, but yeah, Nas is the best. Like Nas is dope. This I don't have to explain that. And number one is Eminem. I'm from Detroit, and that's my boy. And Eminem, again, I've always been obsessed with different. Eminem was different. Before I even knew he was from Detroit, I fell in love with him. I saw him in Source magazine, and I was like, "Who is this?" And so, he has always been different. Now, people always ask me, like, how do you relate to Eminem's content? Like you're not white, you're not from the trailer park, you didn't kill your mom. And I'm like, I wasn't relating to it. I was just mesmerized by it. You know what I'm saying? The fact that he was saying this stuff, the fact that he was creating these stories and creating these vivid images and these pictures and the way he was doing his words and the like, that's what I was obsessed with. I wasn't trying to sit back and relate to him. I was just trying to rap like him. I was trying to keep up, you know what I'm saying, with him. I was trying to be as good as he was because he was so damn good. He was from Detroit. And I wanted to be the best rapper out of Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't about me trying to relate to him. You may not relate to every artist as far as what they're talking about, but you can relate to them as far as like their passion for, you know, for the music, which is why I related to him so much. And plus, he's from Detroit. I'm from Detroit. You know, we talk a lot about Detroit. So I relate to all his Detroit stories, of course. So that's that. That's my top five.
It's a solid top five. I really like it. I don't feel like sometimes I do like your explanations, but when we think about the lunch table when we're talking about it, it's so funny because everyone always defends their top five. I'm like,
Yes.
yo, it's your personal top five. This is what you listen to. This is what your subject matter expert.
Yeah.
I didn't actually be subject matter expert on mine because Kanye is something like it's debatable. I
Yes.
not that I don't think Kanye is clever. I actually, out of most rappers, up until his recent mental break, it's probably the
Mhm.
one I'm mostly like. We probably mostly match paths in different things.
Yeah.
But I also see Kanye is tricky because I feel like he's clever, but I feel like people write for him.
See, that's why I always say classic Kanye, because in the beginning, I think
Mhm.
he was doing a lot of his own writing. I know Rhyme Fest did a lot of writing. And see, and I will say this as well. He was inducted into my top five before I knew that people was writing for him. And you can imagine
Okay.
my heartbreak when I found out he had writers. You can imagine my heartbreak. But he came during a time where people were getting writers. Early on, he did write a lot of his own stuff, but again, he kind of came, early 2000s, and he kind of leaned into the latter part of the decade in the early 2000 teens or whatever, where
Mhm.
people were getting writers, and that was okay. So he just leaned into that and he continued with it. But a lot of my favorite Kanye is classic Kanye, which I think he wrote a lot of that. And you're right, it is tricky
Mhm.
because Ron
It
Fest has a in it.
It's tricky because he has a lot of tough lines. I'm not gonna lie. He has a lot of tough lines. And
Yeah,
it's a like for me, I don't know if you feel like that. It's weird. I guess this is different too, because as we're maturing and we're growing up and we're learning these artists and we're learning their different behaviors, it's like, when do we separate their actual factual personality from their music?
yeah. You're right. Do you? Can you? Um, Sometimes it's hard too because he's done so much. I mean, again, if you hear me say my favorite songs, they're going to be mostly classic Kanye up until the album Yay. And anything after Yay, I probably didn't play as much. I listened to it and play as much. Um,
Mhm.
I Here's the thing. He hasn't pushed me over the edge yet. The only thing he's done was give his opinion, but like R. Kelly did something heinous. So I'm like, I can't listen to him. Diddy is on video beating somebody. I'm like, okay. Kanye West just has a big mouth. Kanye West just says some rude stuff. Kanye West just did like he support Trump. I don't diss on people because of their political reasons. Like
Mhm.
that's just personal. So he hasn't done anything to make me say that is it. He's made me say, to the point I'm not gonna play graduation no more. Not to the point where I'm just not gonna play, drive slow, homie. Like that's not happening. So he hasn't not got me there. Hopefully he won't. But trust me, it's hard to name him as my top three.
Listen, I was telling you, it's funny. He pushed himself down. He's still on my top, but he's definitely pushed himself down. And
Yeah,
not, I don't care about his political beliefs because, as I told everyone when we're talking about politics, as long as you vote in your interest and you know why you're voting,
no,
listen, do you?
yeah,
But it's the other things that are outside of that. I'm more of a I'm more of a kumbaya. Let's hold hands and love everybody. Let's hang out to the beach type of person. And when things get divisive, I'm not personally a fan. But
yeah,
that's just me as an individual. So
yeah.
that's my only thing with him. Now, We learned about Bone, which you're schooling me. School
Hmm.
me on your top 5. Do you have top 5 songs? Like you're like, what's your ultimate playlist? What does it look like a day of Nostradamus? What you listening to?
My playlist today was just so good. It's so funny you asked me that. It wasn't hip hop though.
Okay.
It was a mix of both. The very first song when I got into my car, it was Drake Jungle. It was
Okay.
that, but you don't listen to Drake, but it was Drake Jungle. This is for my listeners. It was Drake Jungle, and then it was Escape Understanding.
I like that. I do like
Okay,
that song.
and then it was of the Beatles. I'm the Wars, and then
Beatles.
it was Nas and it was Rewind. It was Nas Rewind. So my playlist, it just goes on random. I have like a playlist of like 200 songs that it's called That's My Shit. And so anything could come up. So that was my playlist this morning when I took my daughter to school and then went to the grocery store. Um
I love this for you.
yeah. And then a
You are
Christmas.
so evolved. You are such a grown up.
I am. I
You're
am.
like a true grown up. You have Beatles in there, my friend. Shout out to Tessa. She'll appreciate that because she's been trying to get me for 3 years to listen to the Beatles. And I told her that Michael Jackson did his thing on Moonwalker.
Yeah.
Come together.
Yeah.
That's where I draw the line. Come
That's
together right now. Michael with the orange shirt, getting it. That's where I stop. So the fact that you're more evolved than I am,
yeah.
because I'm gonna tell anybody, if you ever get in the car with me, I'm not as mature as
Okay.
non-anonymous at all. It's normally, I can't say that. It's sometimes it's like married, like if it's like a mix, like a R&B kind of hip hop vibe,
Yeah.
but then
Yeah.
it's mostly it's 95% hip hop. Oh well,
Okay.
no, I'm lying. 90% hip hop, 5% gospel, and then I might throw on some New Jack Swing for my mama so she could stop harassing me while we're in the car, so
New
I could drive peacefully.
New Jack Swing is so nostalgic. I love it. I love it. Yeah,
All right.
I love that. I love that when I get in your car, it's all hip hop. Is it all Nas or just
Oh,
what
no,
type?
no, no. That's the I think that's the methodology. We'll talk about me when it's my birthday time. I think that's the myth when it
Yeah.
comes to me. Like when we do my birthday, everyone will be surprised, like, oh, you know that. And I will probably rap what we can legally rap
Yes.
on
Yeah.
YouTube. So y'all will know like I know other people besides Nazir Jones. But he really is my favorite. Spotify said I'm 0.1% of his top listener.
Wow, that's pretty big. That's huge. Okay. Well, shout out to y'all. Shout out to you and Nas.
All right, now back to you. Now, let's see. We talked about your playlist. We talked about phone. We talked about your top 5. Let's get to these albums. I can't wait.
So, again, because it's my birthday, and then we'll go ahead and get ready to wrap this up. Thank you so much for giving me this little segment. I'm going to share my top 10 favorite albums of all time. I actually have 11, so top 11. This is in no order, but my top three is in order. My top three is in order, but this is not in any order. These are just a collection of albums that have touched me, spoke to me, that I loved my entire life, not just as an adult, but my entire life. These are albums that I play more than any album on this earth. These are albums that are moments in time for me. When I listen to these albums, I am right back there where I used to be. These are moments that have made me feel some type of way, that have made me get over somebody, that had made me fall in love with somebody, that made me love hip hop, that made me want to be a better writer, a better rapper. Like every single album on this list has done something for me in some kind of way. It's dedicated to music, the music that I love. And if I had a jukebox, it would play all of these albums and nothing but these albums. If I had a jukebox, it would only play these albums. You hit it and the next one will come on. So here we go. Get ready to judge me because it's going to be albums on here you never heard of. I can tell you that right now. And some
I'm
of you
sure.
guys have heard it. Right now, I'm going to tell you, comment down below the album of this that you like, okay, I rock with that, or like, no. You ain't never heard of half these albums. And remember, these are my top 10 favorite albums my entire life. And again, every album on here means something to me for one reason or the other. Again, no order. Here you go. Don't judge me. I know this is a hip hop podcast.
But mostly hip hop. Just so y'all know. Well, and we're Gen Z, and I know how we get down. We
Gen
like a
X.
little bit of Gen X. Oh,
I say that all the time. We're Gen Z. I got to get that. We're Gen X. The forgotten generation is what they call it. That's
we're the X.
we're
Oh
X.
yeah, I don't want to be the Z. The Z. Never mind. Sorry about
Young.
y'all.
Yeah.
Gen X.
The Z's. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So number again, no order, but coming in, we'll just say number 10 or number 11. Nelly Furtado. Whoa, Nelly. I that album was early 2000s. Obsessed. I will not tell you how many times I play that album. It's a moment in time. It reminds me of a certain time in my life. A certain guy I was dating, friends I was hanging out with. I let the tape rock to the tape pop. I played that album, that CD, so much, and I saw her in concert, and she rocked it. This was again 2000. So yes, judge me, judge me, judge me. This is not a hip hop list. I'm going to tell you that right now.
That's
Number
fine.
9 or whatever. Then we have No Doubt, Return of Saturn. No Doubt, with Gwen Stefani.
Okay, but I rock with her.
Yeah.
Gwen.
So No Doubt, this is their second album. This was their follow-up album. It actually was not as big as I think their first and third album, but this was the one that for some reason I played out the most.
Is I know a little bit about it, no doubt. Is this the one where she broke up with Tony on the album, or is that the last album?
Well, I thought it was the I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know.
All right, I have to do some research, but I
That's
know one of them. She was like it. She went. Her inspiration was the breakup.
was she still with No Doubt?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
All
don't
right,
know.
I'll look into it.
Find
Don't
that
worry.
out.
Just
Return
a
to
random
Saturn.
no doubt thing.
Yeah. Okay. So then we have we were just talking about them, the Beatles, Sergeant Pepper, Lonely Hearts Club. That's it's in my top 10. And that album actually is a moment in time for me as well. I didn't fall in love with the Beatles until I moved to Virginia, and I worked at is it Time Life I worked at or Lillian Ver the throwback. And I sat next to a guy and I told him that I was curious about John Lennon and his music. He was like, "Oh, I'll bring you some music," and he dubbed me a tape, and I just wanted to listen to John Lennon, but he brought me a whole Beatles collection, and I fell in love. I was obsessed. So there was a older white guy put me up on the Beatles. That was in 2006. So Sergeant Pepper is in my top 10.
I like that you're so open. I love this.
I am. And then we have Reese. How we do? Are you familiar with Reese? She's from Philly. She only had one album, I believe, but she was a dope female. She was like I don't want to say neo soul. Well, no, maybe she was kind of neo soul. She was definitely around that time. She used to rock with Talib Kweli. She was an amazing person. You don't get into R&B, but she was dope. She was just dope, and her album is in my top 10 because I was dating somebody, and so you know. Now this is where the list gets crazy, and this is where I have to defend my album. But one of my top 10 albums of all time, one of my favorite albums of all time, and I stand by this, is Another Bad Creation, Cooling at the Playground, And
Okay.
I am proud to stand on a mountain and yell that this is one of my favorite albums of all times. And I am in my 40s. And this is an album that I never stopped loving. Now, the reason why this album is so important to me because this is the first album that I had as a kid. It was the first album that I listened to. It was the first time I learned about ad libs. It was the first time I learned about background singers. It was the first time I learned about rapping and singing. They were my first crush. I was like 10, 11. So it was like my first like on TV crush, not in school, but my first on TV crush. I wasn't in love with anybody on TV until them. So that album, I learned so much from it. I learned so much from that album about, like I said, music, ad libs, and listening to Boys to Men sing in the background and harmonizing. It wasn't. That album is just very important to me, and I played it so much. I still play it. Like I really do still play it because I want to go back there sometimes. I want to go back to that moment. It was such a good moment for me. It was a great time in my life, and they could sing, they could dance. I love their fashion. They were all perfect. Like that was the perfect group. You know what I'm saying? and they had their hype man. It was just, it's a very important album to me. It is. And like I said, I'll stand on the mountaintop and say how talented they were and how amazing that album was. And to me, that album's a big deal. So, and the videos were great. Excuse
Shout
me.
out to Romel. You heard you have the biggest fan in Naja. I'm not gonna say I wasn't a fan, but she already know my loyalties lied elsewhere. So
Yeah, well, we're gonna get back to this, but we actually did get a follow from Red from Another Bad Creation. So we did get and let me tell you, the 11-year-old me was like losing her mind. Okay, so shout out to Red. Red was my favorite. As girls, everybody had favorites or whatever, and Red was my favorite. That's the one who I was obsessed with and kissing the posters and all of that. He was always my favorite because there was just something about him that stood out. I loved him. And
it's the
my
R to the E to the D, and is that how we did it? It's the R to the E
I
to the
know he did a
D.
great
Yeah,
job. The R to the E to the D, and what you're getting is what you're
what you
seeing.
see.
Beat boy. Listen, I was a rapper. He was a great
Oh,
rapper. Like, and he used to sing. Please don't make me go back there, okay? But no, they were so dope. I love them, and yeah, he was my favorite. We were all obsessed. And do you remember RC Cola?
hmm,
The pop RC
yeah,
Cola.
I know. You,
My
yeah. Hmm.
my friend used to call it Romeo Chapman Cola. Like that was how obsessed we were. We used to buy that because it said RC because it had his initials. And we used to call it Romeo Chapman Colon. That's what the only reason why we bought it. So like that's how real the obsession with Another Bad Creation is. And lastly, I want to say that was my very first concert of ever in life. The very first concert I went to was Another Bad Creation, Salt and Pepper, and CNC Music Factory. That was my
Oh,
first.
that's a big concert.
Yeah, it
Whoa.
was Salt and Pepper, and I think Salt and Pepper went on first. Like I think Salt and Pepper went on, and then Another Bad Creation went on, and then CNC Music Factory went on. But we left because we just came for ABC. So thank
I
you so
love
much,
that.
Bad Creation, for what you did for me. Because I'm telling you, as an adult, I still listen to that album, and sometimes I wonder if they still listen to it because I do. I'm only a kid in my world. I can't wait to get a little bigger. Sorry, man.
Yo, it's NAJJDAMUs' birthday. I'm gonna let her have it.
Shout out to my boys. Okay, now let's go ahead and wrap this up. Now also, this might take away from what I just said because this was actually their enemies. But Crisscross, Crisscross is actually in my top five as well, for great top 10 for greatest album of all time because again the production was amazing. Now this is also because I was starting to get older. This is when I started learning about writing and again ad libs and the way Jermaine Dupri wrote for them, and the way that he gave Chris Kelly certain verses versus Chris Smith, and I just observed that and reading the credits and just seeing that Jermaine Dupri did the production on it and the writing and executive, like he just did so much for the album. That's why Jermaine Dupri is my favorite producer of all time to this day because of all the things he did for Criss Cross, Escape, Mariah Carey, The Brat, that's obsessed. So
It now was that totally crossed out or the bomb?
it was the bomb. It was
Okay.
100% the bomb. Yeah, it was. It
So
was
what's guess what I was listening to today?
what?
The bomb.
Oh,
On the way to
really?
get in my massage. And you were talking about DJ Nabs and he's on Crisscross.
Putting that
And I
out.
was thinking how dope one, the Brat, that was a perfect debut.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
Coming
yeah,
around
yeah.
the mountain, topping the okay,
But
let me not get so excited.
you want to get some, so feel the rap.
And
Yeah,
the flow for I'm Real, this is the impact that Snoop Dogg had without me having, again, his physical, but listening to it, I felt like
yeah.
I'm Real was a lot of Snoop Dogg's
Woo.
style. But
That
also, All
crazy.
Right reminds you of summertime. Like, All Right is that, oh my goodness. It
Okay.
just reminds you of summertime. And
Yeah,
it's weird how those albums put you there. Now, I'm not going to say Crisscross puts me in the same place it puts you, but when I was listening to it today, it just reminded me because let me give my mom a shout out because she says I'm always talking about, yeah, buy you the wrong music. Yeah. She
yeah.
did hook me up with the bomb. And to be honest, like I didn't have Totally Crossed Out, but I did have the bomb. And it
Yeah.
is
It's the
For
bomb.
our age, it's so crazy because for our age, we just looked at them like rappers. Like, how you look at Bow Wow, he's a little rapper, but for us, he's
Right.
just like
They were
they're our age, so they're
rappers.
rap and they were rappers.
Yeah.
Like,
No, they
so
were. And shout out to your mom for buying you that album. That was that the Bomb was the first album that I've ever purchased. The first rap album. The first rap album
mhm.
I've ever purchased with my own money was Crisscross the Bomb. The first album I ever purchased was Mary J. Blige was the 411. But the first rap album I ever purchased with my own money was Crisscross the Bomb. I went and got the tape. So that's a very
Love
important.
that.
And like I said, I learned a lot about music production from that album. I used to sit and listen to the headphones, but they don't know really though. I used to hear like certain vocals come in the left ear versus the right ear. Like it was real. Jermaine Dupri taught me a lot about music, and he doesn't even know it, of course. All right, let's move on. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. I keep saying
Okay.
Outkast, Aquemini, one of
Okay.
my favorite albums of all time. Don't feel like I need to explain it. It's an amazing album. The end. The song Aquemini,
Elevator.
that's actually the album that inducted Andre 3000 into my top five as well. Is Aquemini and his verse on Aquemini, which was very simple but just so dope. So yeah, that puts me in a time and space too. My best friend, he passed away in 2007, but he put me up on that album because I used to drive in his Riviera, his long Riviera, his car. And I got in the car one day. He put the tape on and he played it, and I was like, "Is that new Outcast?" And he like, "Yeah." And the skits, the interludes on that album are great, and it's an amazing album. It reminds me of me and him. It also reminds me of me and my other two best friends that my ride or dies from the late '90s, early 2000s. So it's a special album. And my top three, these are in order. Number three is the Slim Shady LP by Eminem. Argue with your mama. Is that I let the tape rock to my tape pop. I mean, I played that album out. I played it out ridiculously. I played it out way too much. And again, people always say, "How do you relate to Eminem?" I relate to Eminem because he loves rap and I love rap. That's it. Like I just played it a lot, and I still do.
You can never take away, and I said that even when we were doing this review, you can never take away his cadence, his
Yeah,
flow.
yeah.
You can't take away his love for hip hop because I bet you he knows more. He knows more about it than I do. Like he's
Yeah,
really embracing the culture, and he has a lot of people respect him. So there's nothing wrong with the Slim Shady. Not my personal pick, but that's your personal pick. That's what you listen to. So hey, if you love it, I love it for you.
the Slim Shady LP is definitely one of my favorite albums of all time, and that would be like one of my favorite rap albums as well of all time. My number two is going to be somebody I'm sure you never heard of, but shout out to anybody that has ever heard of Sarah McLachlan. Sarah McLachlan, who in
Country
the
sing.
arms of the angels.
Oh, that's somebody my granddad would listen to. Okay.
She okay. Have you ever seen the movie the Lady at Night with the dogs and the animals? She tell you to donate. It's really sad. That's her.
Yeah.
She's my favorite singer. I actually went to go see her in concert this summer. It was just tears and
Wow.
song, and it was great. But that's my second album of all time. This is a hip hop podcast. We don't have to talk about her. But anybody want to talk to me about Sarah McLachlan, please slide out of her DMs and into the comment section and talk to me about Sarah. And then number one for my favorite album of all time, if I'm on an island, I have to have this album. It's going to be Bone Thugs and Harmony East 1999 Eternal. That is my favorite hip hop, my favorite album of any genre of all time. That's the one album that I cannot live without. Bone Thugs and Harmony East 1999 Eternal. That is another album that just takes me there. It's Bone's second album. I think it's their most popular album, their greatest.
Mhm.
Uh,
Crossroads, right?
Yep, it has crosswords on it. Crossroads, not crosswords, crossroads. And
Mhm.
I saw them performing in concert for the 15-year anniversary, and I think they did it for the 20-year anniversary. So next year is going to be like 30 years. But they performed it live with the band. This was in like 2005, I think, was a 15-year celebration, and then maybe 2000. The years they just get they go blurry after like 2010. But I saw them perform it with a band. So it was called All Five Live with the band. So they did the whole album. It was amazing. But that's my favorite album of all time because Bone is my favorite group of all time, any genre. So
I think it's respectable. I don't think you have the heat that you thought you're gonna get. I like as I tell you, I'm not as sophisticated. I have the palate of an 8-year-old. What I like is what I like, and I don't journey out. So the fact that you like, oh, and let me tell you, my family tried to put the country on me, it just didn't stick. So I tried,
Your
but
granddad couldn't do it.
no, he tell you we were listening to Randy Travis and my Groffberg. Nobody trying to listen to that.
Shout out to your granddad. You got
No,
to be
sure.
open. You got to have some range.
The range, my range. When it's my turn, I'll tell y'all my range. Everyone's
I
gonna laugh.
I can't wait to the different ranges of hip hop. Really,
The range is gonna be like, oh,
I want to give a
um,
really quick honorable mention, just really fast. Honorable mention for my favorite albums is Wu-Tang Clan, Wu-Tang Forever, Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill, Don't Judge Me, but Drake Take Care, Kendrick Lamar, Good Kid, Bad City, and then Kanye West, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Those are my honorable mentions.
ooh, that's a good honor. All of those are dope. Even
Thank
the last more said, because that's so I'm your lover. Yeah, she was angry, and then when I found out she was on, you can't say that on TV. I was like, I loved her a little
you
bit
for
more.
that. I remember
Yeah, she
hearing
was the girl with the curly hair. Like she grew up to be a singer. I thought that was so cool. It made me like her.
you
And
can't
people at Norfolk State would listen to Alanis Morissette and Jewel like that. And those were the girls from New York.
honorable
See?
mention. How could I not
Yeah.
put Jewel on there? Who will save your soul? Oh God, I loved her. I was obsessed with her too. Loved her. So there we have it. And we can go ahead and wrap up this segment about me. Thank you guys so much for skipping. For those of you who do not hit the 10-second forward button or the 30-second forward button, anybody who listens to me, thank you so much. I was born a middle child, the second daughter born on the second day of September. So I like when the attention is on me as a middle child. I did not grow up getting it. That's not true. That's not true.
And, and J. Cole, you see how she tried to throw you to the wolves and you had a whole song dedicated to middle children. You see that? You see that?
Was he a middle child?
He has a whole song called Middle Child too.
Shout out to J.
Ah,
Cole, yo. Shout out.
me? You try to throw him to the you threw throw
I
him
just
away.
said that he shouldn't be in the big three. I just said Big Sean should have been in the big three. That's all I said. That's just,
Now,
I don't know what it
this
is about Nicole.
now we do have we've been talking a lot about different ladies. Matter of fact, we had a whole episode dedicated to ladies, and I feel like we forgot to mention one lady in
Uh-huh.
particular, Remy Ma and Fat Joe. You know they
Yeah.
just came out with a new song. So first of all, I know you've been up in New York living your best life. So have you had a chance to kind of listen to it, give
I
your
did.
reactions, your opinion? Okay. So
I did.
what do you think? What you
I
think?
saw it, the little clip was all over the internet, when it first came out. So I saw the clip. I didn't get a chance to hear the whole song immediately,
Okay.
so we'll find it. So I have heard the whole song. And I what Remy Ma and Fat Joe's like peanut butter and jelly. Do they ever separate? Like do they do like because I feel like Fat Joe will do music without Remy, but Remy will not put out music without Fat Joe. And I'm not a home wrecker, but I would like to see her not with Fat Joe. But I know that's not happening. I know she's loyal. They're loyal to each other. I know she has done songs without him, but you get what I'm saying. Like every time she like goes away and comes back, it's with him. Whenever she leaves and comes back, they're
Mhm.
together. Is this his song or is it her song? Or are they doing the peanut butter and jelly thing again? Were they coming out together?
So okay, so a couple things for Remy. I feel like it's a clutch, and this is no shade to Remy.
Okay,
I'm not shading you. On
that's true.
her own, her singles have not done as well.
That's
Her
true.
formula for success has been to be with Fat Joe. Fat
That's true.
Joe doesn't seem to care. But I
Yeah.
will give Remy props. And again, not a slight. But this girl, that beat was in your pocket.
Yeah.
This beat was made for you. You were saying some lyrics a little too racy for me to ever repeat. I had to cover my cat's ears.
Not the cat's ears.
Like, oh, this is good. Oh, whew. Have
Cover your
flashbacks of
ears.
living in the house, like living in the house under parental guidance. Like this is why they had stickers on
Exactly
music.
why. This is exactly
But
why.
but I give you props because honestly, you outshine Fat Joe
She
on
always
this
does.
record.
She always
Like
does.
and it's crazy because I know and it's weird because I don't want because Joe has years in the game. I mean years.
Yeah.
Like years. He has years. Like he's a prequel.
Yeah.
He's a prequel to the era that me and you were so fond of. Like he was a little bit before that, and then
And
and
he's cool with
and it
Bone.
doesn't mean he can't rap. It's just Remy drew me in for the song. She kind of drew me in, and she said some. She looked great in the video. Her body's on 1,000. I don't know what's going on with her and Papoose, but she's definitely got some bait out there just in case things ain't working the way they supposed to be working. She put her bait out, and
Yeah.
that one line she had in Conceited, I got a little fat. My man, she ain't fat.
No,
She
she
she looked nice in all the
she
places that she's supposed to look nice in.
body is crazy.
Um,
Yeah.
and she really killed it. I don't want Fat Joe. I would never want him to listen back like, oh, I don't think you have to
No.
step your bars up. It's just
Remy,
a different lane when they're rapping together. She is fantastic.
yeah, Remy is a star. Remy is Remy gonna always have bars. Like Remy is gonna always have bars and lyrics. I always, the very first time I heard Remy Ma was on Fat Joe album years ago. Not Fat Joe, Big Pun. It was on Big
Mhm,
Pun album years ago, and I assumed she was Puerto Rican. I assumed she was Puerto Rican just because Fat Joe and Big Pun, and so I
mhm,
assumed she was. And when I saw her, I saw it was a black girl. I was like, what? This is not how I pictured her. But immediately, I have always been a fan of Remy Ma because she really does have bars and she has a great flow and she can ride the hell out of a beat. You know what I'm saying? She's super, super talented. On this track, I thought she, like you said, I was definitely distracted by her beauty because she looks so good. She does. Like Remy really is pretty. I've seen her jail photos and she is pretty, like without makeup. You know what I'm saying? Like she really is a pretty girl. That ain't got nothing to do with the lyrics, but she cute. She just really is. And she
mhm.
really got a great body. You know what I'm saying? And so I love the song and I love Remy. The only thing is that I hate to see so much sex from her only because it's her. I'm so used to everybody doing this, and it's like, but but whatever, you know what I'm saying? That's not gonna take away from the bars. But I hate to see the girls. The new thing is when somebody twerking a video and then you grab their ass and shake it. I hate that. I hate that so much. I hate people do that. That's the only thing that irritated me. But that has nothing to do with how great she is and how great the song is.
It is crazy because the bars are dope, but you're right about
That's a distraction.
everything. Because and this is a sidebar conversation for another day, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
write it down.
yeah,
But there's Remy is another person that just can rap. As she said, I remember watching her on me and my ex. We would get the hip hop battle DVDs and watch them and watching her rap. So we know that she has bars and she can talk about a million and one topics. But this is a way to get play. This is a way to get podcasts to talk about you because we have Shay New York, which is another one of my favorite female rappers. She always puts me in a frame of MC Light, but she's a little bit of Lauren because she can take out anybody,
yeah.
male, female, it don't matter. But
Right,
she's not sexualizing herself.
right,
So therefore she doesn't get the mentions
right.
like
Yeah,
she would. So it, you know, it is what it, but like we were always talking about, you have to do what you have to do, what you have to do to keep in for Fat Joe and Remy is to keep their fan base. And this is even a different sound from, I feel like this is a different sound from their album that they
yeah.
did together.
It does.
I feel like they're trying to do something innovative this time around. What do you
What's
think?
with it definitely feels different. The summertime sample,
Mm-hmm.
the, it's weird because it's summertime, but it's coming out in the fall. I mean, maybe I'm just like super Virgo picky, things have to align, but this would have been perfect for May. You know what I'm saying? But it feels weird with that summertime sample for a fall joint. That's just me. I'm just nitpicky like that. But it does feel like they're trying to do something new. Are they trying to
This is gonna
reinvent?
be a strip club anthem watch. This is gonna
Yeah,
be the strip club
that's what
anthem.
they're trying to do, some strip club stuff. That's the thing. Like I like Remy so much, and it's like I want to say Remy, you don't need this, but maybe she do. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to say Remy, you better than that. You don't need to take your clothes off, but it ain't like she been covered up. You know what I'm saying? It's she be on her IG showing skin. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like the girl be wearing sweaters and Tims, but maybe she do need that if she wants to get the attention of.
We're talking about her. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about her. And she gave us something to talk about.
Is that gonna help? Is her showing her skin gonna help? Because the comment section was not there for it. But the comment section varied between from platform to platform. It changes. But they were like, Remy, you better than this. Remy, you don't need this. Remy, you sold out. Blah blah blah. Yada yada. I do think it's weird because she's been in the game for so long, and I don't think I've ever seen her in a. I don't know. I don't know if
I
that.
haven't seen her this way. I mean,
Yeah,
even when I think about when she got back all the way up, I thought that was so perfect. Like the
yeah,
way, and even the oh, y'all don't kill me because I'm old. But the Ralph Tresvant hook that her and Fat Joe did, I like that joint as well. Like the way that they came, like the way that they were coming, it was like to me the right kind of movement.
yeah,
But at the same time, and this is a conundrum that a lot of MCs have, especially our generation has. Okay, I've been doing it my way for so long. I know I have bars. Like
yeah,
remember when her and Nicki Minaj had beef? Actually, Remy lyrically beat
yeah,
Nicki.
yeah. We know she.
Um,
Yeah,
but the sales didn't translate.
yeah,
So
yeah.
then what do you do? Because you're not in this, you're not in it for free.
You're not in it for free. Remy never has been able to cross over as a solo artist. When you said that her that Fat Joe is a crutch, I never looked at it like that because all her big songs have been with Fat Joe. You know, the All the Way Up,
Lean back.
you know,
Mhm.
backs and all. You're right. He is a crutch, and I never even looked at it like that because I want them to separate, but they won't. And when she does do it on her own, it does not take off. Do you know her and Little Kim got a song together? They remade they took the beat. What's her most popular song? Um I'm a
Conceited?
bitch. No, I still am rich. Queen
Oh,
bitch.
Queen Bee.
Yeah, that song. They
I
remade
love
it. They
Queen
got
Bee.
rid of the beat and everything. They got a video for it, everything. Got
I gotta
swept.
check it out.
Google it and look up the video. It's a dope video. It's a great song, and people just went to sleep right on it. And that should have been big because Little Kim and Remy Ma hated each other for a while. They were beefing with each other for a long time. So they used to be enemies. But now I think because they both had a mutual hate for Nicki Minaj, they kind of joined together. And now they best friends. Like they mad cool now. And they did a song together, and that song should have been big, but our generation don't know what happened, and a newer generation wasn't checking for them. You know, they were up Nicki Minaj's butt during the time it came out. So it just got swept under the rug. But that song does exist and nobody knows about it. So that's the thing about Remy Ma. She's so good and she's so talented, but she can't cross over by herself. They won't let her cross over by herself. The powers that be.
Yeah. Well, power and look, it things are controlled by the kids too. The social media, the buzzword. Even with us, with our podcast, you got to say the right thing. Got to have the right clip. You got to say it right there just to get
That's
them in. And you never know what's going to draw attention. Sometimes with Kim, and it's almost sometimes with Kim, the way again she comes off different than when she raps.
yeah.
And I feel like people don't always check for her because honestly, if had I known it was out, I would have that would have been it's gonna be added to my playlist. I just gotta find the song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we do have some sad news in hip hop. I feel sad.
Aww. So
Um,
Rich Homie Quan passed away, as you all know. Um, him and actually Fat Man Scoop passed away since we recorded live last. I hate the whole death comes in three things because it really does. Like there's nowhere it really happens. It's not like it's some kind of uh what's the word I'm looking for? Like urban legend or something. Like it really death does come in threes. So when Fat Man Scoop passed away, in my head I didn't say it aloud, but I'm like, okay, who's gonna be next? And it's Rich Homie Quan.
and there
Um,
is another person that passed away, but I can't because I'm on my phone. There was another. There's three. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's always three. It's always three. Um, Even if it's three different genres or entertainment, it's always going to be three. Um, Now, again, I'm a different generation, so I know the name. Don't kill me. I know the name Rich Homie Quan. I know he was big, but like he's not the type of rapper where immediately I know what he sung, right? So I did have to look him up. I did.
Okay. But he had, so he's not, so this is where I say this, where I differ. While I will not get his whole album, I
Yeah.
definitely like Type Away. That's my song.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Like, that's my kind of song.
When I googled them, every song that they played, I was like, "Oh, this his song. Oh,
Oh,
okay, this his song." I can't put artists with songs because for me
okay.
personally, everybody sounds alike. Like after a certain time, everybody sounds the exact same. So I don't know the difference between certain rappers. But when I heard every song, I knew every song. I just didn't know that he sung it.
Yeah. And I will say, it is important what you do at the end of our podcast. KRS One, who we all know is a hip hop historian,
Hmm.
he was like, he was seeing a lot of people give Fat Man Scoop their accolades, but he was like, this is all nice. This is great.
Yeah,
But y'all didn't appreciate him while he's on earth. And I think what you do is so important to make sure we're honoring those
yeah,
that pave a way, that came before us, and just let them know how much they appreciate it. Because you never know who's really checking us out. And sometimes just that word of encouragement lets you know what impact you have, because it is sad. It's not that I don't think Fat Man Scoop didn't think people enjoyed his music, because he's worked with some of the biggest artists in the game. But it's just nice to constantly be reminded and be included in those conversations in hip hop where he
yeah,
may get left out for a DJ Khaled, or
yeah,
someone else. So what you do is important with giving everybody their roses at the
yeah.
end of the episode, because just to uplift them while they're here on earth.
Yeah, and thank you for that. I think it's really important that these artists know that they're appreciated and celebrated. And my hope is one day that I'll be able to do roses, live with the actual person I give the rose to. That's my manifestation. That is my me sending that to the universe. I want to be able to tell the person here on our podcast why they deserve that rose. But sometimes it's so much music, it's so many artists, and sometimes people just get lost. Sometimes it's not even us as a fans fault that we might forget about certain artists. So that's why it's for me to pull out those archives and say, hey, remember this artist did this, let's highlight them for a quick second. So yeah, Rich Homie Quan and Fat Man Scoop definitely gave us a lot of hits, a lot of music, and they should definitely be celebrated.
Absolutely. So who? Oh, all right. This is the part you have to close your ears, because I know you ain't on it. You guys know Bel Air has wrapped up. My
They
only thing,
they wrapped up. Okay, how do I get off of this?
this is it. This is the only thing I'm going to say. I'm not even going to give y'all the scoop, because I'm going to do that separate. My
Okay,
only thing is, well, I don't know, because you might
I
figure this
heard you
out.
down. Go
One
ahead.
thing I noticed about the writing when it came to Aunt, Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil, I feel like we kind of got an insight of what was going on with Will and Jada. She's listening to music. So if you guys
Oh,
have watched it, and those scenes, were one of them where Phil had threw an extravagant party for Aunt Viv, and she was like, I don't need an extravagant party. And then there was another one where they were invited to be swingers. Now, obviously on the show, they decided not to be swingers, but you already know what happened in real life with the whole entanglement. So I just want to know what your thoughts were. Did you think that it was trying to mirror um, Will and Jada's relationship? And of course, on the next show that I will be talking about is Tyreek and Gang, because they return tomorrow. I'm done. Let me do. Let me let Nostradamus know I'm done.
I'm back.
There you go. Yep.
I'm going to watch Bel Air, so I cannot have those spoilers. Oh no, we lost her, but she'll come back. She'll come back. We're still recording. We'll wait for a second. She'll come back on. We'll go ahead and get her back on. But yeah, the reason why I have to turn it down is because I really like the show Bel Air, and I can't have any spoilers because I'll figure things out so fast. Yeah, I got you back on there.
Yeah. Oh, so the next show will be Power is going to come back for the final season. So that starts this weekend, actually.
I've been seeing a lot of commercials for that. So I
It's hard
saw
to read.
what's his name? Looked like somebody that you could be related to. What's that really cute light skinned guy that I love? What's his
Oh,
name?
then Michael Ealy.
I love him. He's so
And why
handsome.
is he in my family? He could be in my family, but why is he in my family? I don't.
I
I'm li-
don't know. Something about him. Look like y'all could just be cousins or something. Like, I don't know.
well, just real quick because you said that when I was out, I was at the R&B block party that we had in Virginia, and I took my cousin and I was out with one of my other friends, and she was like, "I forget your family just come in all different varieties, flavors, United Nations." That's why I'm always kumbiyaing it up. All right, now most important because we kind of talked about it. Who are you gonna give your rose to?
So I'm actually just going to stay on topic of I'm going to give my rose to Rich Homie Quan, and I'm going to give my rose to Fat Man Scoop.
Okay.
Honestly, because I know that I usually try to go back in time, but Fat Man Scoop definitely have been giving us hits in the club for a very long time. What's the whenever you hear somebody start yelling, that's how you know what I'm saying? Here we go, now, here we go. Like so shout out to him for keeping those party vibes going. RIP to him as well because he, passed out on stage. They say he died doing what he loves. You know what I'm saying? So down to his last breath, he was doing exactly what he loved. Um, he was getting his roses because he had a crowd full of people. So that's good to know. And then Rich Homie Quan gave us hits. What was his era? Was that like in the 2000 teens?
A little bit later than that.
A little bit later, gonna give this a lifestyle. I mean, the 2010s, like the tens, right?
Dang, what's so crazy? It don't feel like that, but you're absolutely right.
It was the
Dang,
tens.
yeah.
20s now. We are
2013. Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah,
the
yeah.
tens. Yes, we are in the 20s now. The 90s are
Gosh,
coming around.
sorry.
But yeah, so that was the tens. He held the tens down. So shout out to Rich Homie Quan. That's a lot of that music that came on in the club where I was kind of starting to age out of it. I was getting old, so I was just at the bar when that stuff would come on, his music come on, but I would be at the bar just kind of like, doing that. So shout out, yeah. So yeah, my rose this week is definitely Fat Man Scoop, Rich Homie Quan. That's the easy one. They gave us amazing music during their time here. So shout out to them both.
Yes. All right. Well, any parting words, birthday girl?
Thank you God for 40 something years of hip hop. I don't have a single memory of me not loving hip hop. I don't have a single memory of me not wanting to be a rapper. I don't have a single memory of me not wanting or not having a love for hip hop. And so I thank you God for all these years of hip hop. Thank you God for helping us with this podcast. I knew I never gave up on the podcast. I never gave up on the opportunity to start one, and I knew that eventually the right person would come along. And over time, I will tell you about yourself because me and God talked about you for a while. So over time, I will tell you about you, ill God, and we'll have a conversation about it once we get to a certain spot in the podcast. But I thank God for all my years, my 40 something years, and I thank God for this podcast, and I thank God for hip hop.
Woo-hoo! And y'all already know what I'm gonna say. Oh, well, I have a little tweezer. You already know the blog is coming. Well, the vlog is coming once I can get it right. But it's so important to trust your dopeness, be dope to yourself, but you got to be dope to other people because listen, we got too much ookie going around.
The blog is coming. When you said that,
No, 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 the vlog.
the
The
blog, okay.
and
Because
matter of fact, it's gonna come. I may debut it on our TikTok, but it's gonna be the trip, the man, the myth, the legends.
so can are we? I can't. Because she's so dope, and so she has to hold her dopeness to our next pod. So we'll
Just
hold.
because it's all about you.
Yes,
It's all. I know that song by Pretty in Pink. You don't know that song? Aha!
pretty
Pretty in Pink, Motown group, Shaka Khan daughter was in it, and they had a song all about you. And Kyrie from the Boys was in the video.
okay. Pretty in Pink. That name sounds very familiar.
Y'all gotta look it up on YouTube. I could tell y'all. I could tell what did Joelle say? I lived a crazy life. I could tell you what the 80s like.
Yeah. Then that's I can see what the 80s like.
Yeah.
Wayne was on Club Shay Shay and he said, no, was that him who said that? That might not have been. Somebody said that might not have been Marlon Wayans. Somebody said, was it? He said, I lived through stuff y'all got to Google. Who was that? Was that Dave Chappelle?
It was
Somebody else.
Marlon Wayans because I feel we have to talk about that's gonna be a whole separate episode about the Wayans family,
Yeah.
their glow up, how I had a crush on SW1 before he was
SW1.
Sean Wayans.
SW1. Yeah. On Living Color. Okay, we'll go ahead and get out of here. Thank you guys so much. And Romel Chapman. I'm waiting on you to follow us. Your boy Red did. I'm waiting on Romel Chapman.
Oh, I got you after this so we can get
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. All right,
All
y'all.
right.
We out. Does it say ended on your end? Because it always says it's still recorded on my. Oh, we still record. Oh, bye.